Hey everyone, welcome back to IGN E3 2015. I'm Daniel Krupa, and with Arthur from TT Games.
Hi.
What are we taking a look at today?
So today we're going to look at LEGO Marvel Avengers,
Okay.
which is the latest game myself and my team at TT are working on. And it's the first time we've shown anything. It's been really quiet. We haven't really done anything other than announce the game way back in January. So E3 2015 is the time to sort of go, here we are.
Yeah, because the original Marvel Lego game was like one of my favorite of the Lego series. I really like the open world. So is that returning?
Oh yeah, most definitely. This is, we love to engage with fans of the series, and on social media, and they give comments on pretty much anything and everything. And so that was one of the overriding things they loved with the first game was, taking your favorite characters and exploring various areas of Manhattan. So
because I think I spent hours just doing that, kind of in free play, and I kind of missed that a little bit from Beyond Gotham.
Yeah.
So it's called Avengers, but what we're seeing here is the end of the first Avengers movie.
Yeah. So part way through the Battle of New York, this is the section of the demo we've got. But it's called LEGO Marvel Avengers, but it's the stories Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. The first game was clearly an original story that we wrote, and then this one is basically our parody, our retelling in LEGO format of the two fabulous Avengers movies and more, obviously. But that's the great thing. This is that authentic celebration of Avengers. We've got all the VO from the movies, so it suddenly feels like it is you playing the movies, I guess.
So what's it been like? Because obviously with the first one you could kind of choose whatever you wanted from the wider Marvel universe, do comic book stuff, different eras in the history of Marvel Comics. What's it been like going back to kind of the format where you're kind of, adhering to the movie beats?
Every game has its sort of like, different aspects, and to be able to go back and have a story that's pretty much told for you, it's actually really exciting because, I'm a huge fan of Marvel Comics, but also the movies. So to be able to go in and effectively, redo, like, say, the Hulkbuster sequence from Age of Ultron, to be able to do that in Lego form, because the Lego Hulkbuster is epic, the toy.
It's great, yeah. So you've used that as the basis for the
game?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
So that level, for example, you'll basically, you start as Tony Stark and Veronica, and the first thing you have to do is you suit up into the Hulkbuster, and then we retell that battle with Hulk, smashing up the streets of Johannesburg. So to go back and have these epic moments is great. And again, the Battle of New York, to be able to go and do that in Lego form, it's epic, and also to be able to really have good fun with it. At the end of the day, our games are about fan service, but more importantly, fun.
So what is the Avengers team? Is it as in the movie and you kind of limit them by level, so you have 3 or 2 of them at a time?
The way we've done it is we've tried to closely match the movies. So in this sequence here in the Battle of New York, you're obviously going to be playing Cap, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. But as you progress through, just like the movie, other characters come into play. There's a section and a sequence in the game where you've got Hulk and Thor on the back of the Chitauri Leviathan. So we're really just taking whatever's kind of in the movie. So sometimes it's a party of 2, sometimes it's 3. At one point it's like 5 or 6, and it's just epically teaming those characters together.
And what I really liked about the original, I used to like the kind of additional stuff, that's kind of more focused bursts. So I really liked the Daredevil section in the last game. Is there any of that stuff in this one?
Yeah, most definitely. We're going to be doing a lot of sort of quirky extra stuff because, yes, it's the stories, Avengers and Age of Ultron and some other bits and pieces, but the free play is it's a celebration of Avengers. We can go back through eras of comic books, and we're going to be like, filling our Manhattan open world with all kinds of stuff,
So is the character design more in keeping with the cinematic universe, would you say, with this game more so, with the additional characters? Because in the first game, the Guardians were in it, but they were kind of the Guardians that you see in the comics rather than the film, because the film hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So have you kind of brought it closer to the cinematic universe?
We've done a bit of both, really. Okay. So, in the core story, you'll have, say, Black Widow in her Avengers outfit, when you get to Age of Ultron, she'll get her new Age of Ultron outfit, and as such, she'll also have slightly different abilities because she'll have her her batons. But that isn't necessarily like just the cinematic universe for the rest of the cast and the characters, because we have got a lot of classic comic book characters, and these are going to be in their known outfits. We're going to have a huge roster. There's going to be over 100 new characters that are going to be appearing for the first time. But take Ulysses Claw, for example. We'll be doing the Andy Serkis version from Age of Ultron. Okay. Whether the classic comic book version appears or not, who knows?
Who could possibly say? So what's this going on right now? Is this a Black Widow ability?
Yeah, so with Black Widow, we wanted to just give her some different abilities that she hadn't had previously. So this is her with a shield device to detect Lego. Every one of these characters that has come through from the first game has been revamped in one way or another. So Captain America's combat is far more dynamic. It's more like the way that the Cap sort of in Winter Soldier was portrayed.
Yeah.
It's very
Much
dynamic,
faster,
very fluid.
Yeah.
And as well, that goes with every single character because we want to make sure that it's all new and exciting and dynamic. So like here with the combat, we've made the combat a lot slicker and a lot more fluid. The player now chooses to do special moves rather than them being almost automated. And as well, there's also, with it being Avengers and all about teaming up, one of the key things in the game is we have like Avengers combos. So any Avengers character is able to team up with another Avengers character to pull off a combat move.
That's great. That's such a part of the new film. Like the opening sequence when they raid the castle.
Yep.
Like you see them teaming up in some really interesting ways.
Yeah, and that sequence of the movie was astonishing. So to be able to retell that in Lego form is absolutely breathtaking. The team are doing a stupendous job on that. It's really taking shape. And Lego builds like this Leviathan, absolutely terrific.
There's a few Lego games coming out this year. Lego Dimensions is coming out later in the year, and you can play as Batman and Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Can you play as any of the Marvel characters in that, or is this the only place where you can play as Iron Man and Thor?
Well, Lego Dimensions is coming out. They've kind of announced their full roster of IPs for now. Lego Marvel Avengers is it's a standalone game like previous games in the series, and that's where you're going to be able to take and play with these characters. This is for me like how these characters are best enjoyed. Retelling a story, doing it with fun, with whimsy, and also, really going to town on the kind of the fan service. The games that myself and the team in the superhero series have been working on, both Marvel ones and the DC ones, they're all about the kind of the fan service aspect. So stuff that we haven't announced yet within Lego Marvel Avengers, that's where people are going to be sort of jaw-dropping and going, really? It's like, hold on, it's those movies, and then you've got the movie dialogue, but then you've also got all of this stuff. That's where the game comes to life. So here we've got one of these Avengers, what we're calling Avengers Initiative moves. So you'll see the giant A, you have to be an Avenger, you activate it, and then what will happen is that it'll tell you which characters. So here we've got Cap, and then you need Thor to team up with him, and it's sort of like from the movie in the forest where the hammer, the Mjolnir smash. But it's really about bringing like Avengers, both cinematic and comic book, into one package, making this bigger and better than any of the other games.
Is the open world setting, is that still Marvel's interpretation of New York?
Yeah, we've kind of we've changed it up a little bit because again, that was one aspect where people really enjoyed like roaming around and doing the crazy comical quests and chasing down bad guys, racing around in all the cool Marvel vehicles. But we want to notch that up a little bit again, so we kind of redesigned Manhattan a little bit. But then we've also redesigned the gameplay in there. So as well as things like quests, as well as races and chases and unlocks and stuffing up bad guys. We're also going to do some stuff in there where there's crimes going off around the city, and so you'll have to go and stop the crimes happening, and just really making it an interactive playground, because we found that's where most people spent their time. They'd complete the game and then they were in Manhattan, for forever and a day, just having fun with the stuff.
Like you say, my nephew is obsessed with the Lego games, and the thing he loves more than anything is unlocking new characters.
Yeah.
And I know we're just talking about the Avengers, the core Avengers here today, but we're going to get a lot more announcements in the coming months.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. For now, obviously we've got the film 1 Avengers cast. Obviously we're also going to have Scarlet Witch. We're going to have Quicksilver. We're going to have Vision. We're going to have Ultron. But we'll have more than one Ultron. We'll have the initial puppet on a string Ultron. We'll also have the Ultimate Ultron. Right from the end of the movie. We'll have Ulysses Claw. So those characters that are in both movies, everyone's going to, if they didn't know already, they do now. Those characters are in the game. And then the other raft of characters, as we go through between now and the release at winter time, that's when we'll make sure everyone finds out about these other characters. Because I tell you, that I didn't think we could get a roster that was as big, as impressive as superheroes, but with Avengers, there's a lot of really good characters.
So what's it like as the team going back and forth between the DC and Marvel games? Is it the same team that works on both? And sometimes do you have more Marvel fans taking the lead on when it's the Marvel title?
It swings and roundabouts, I guess. We have great fun with every game we work on, and so I'm a comic book nerd. A lot of the guys on my team are comic book nerds, and we'll have people that specialise in they'll particularly enjoy a certain area of whichever comic book it is. So those guys will get to design those sections, or they'll get to write that dialogue. But we just enjoy working on comic book games. Superheroes are cool. I turned 40 this year. For about 35 years, it wasn't cool to be a geek and a nerd. It is now. So let's revel in it a little bit. It's one of those things.
So what was it like doing Age of Ultron when you hadn't seen the movie for so long? You were working on that. How's that kind of process work? Because you're kind of flying blind.
Well, the great thing, we have a really good relationship with Marvel. So way back, sort of late last year, we actually went on a set visit. So, we got a rundown, a lowdown on the movie. We got to spend some time seeing what was going on. We got overviews. We knew what was going to be in the movie, so we knew what we could pen out. This is such a cool moment.
This is amazing.
I love this, It's just really cool having huge bits of Lego like this. And as well, you then get the comedy moments here. So Hulk's doing all of that, and then we'll stop, take a selfie. It's the sort of thing you'd expect. But we kind of knew it was in the movie. We were given access. Marvel are a great partner. So while we didn't necessarily have all the visuals, we knew what to work on. And again, with months more of development to go, we're pretty good on all that. So here we go. Iconic Avengers 1 moment with the assembling. But again, the Chitauri here, you've got a guy that's a tourist in New York. We've got the running gags. We've got the running.
And here's the iconic shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the finished version will have obviously the official Avengers theme playing here, and so that you've got that authenticity combined with the comic geekness. It's it really is going to be a great game to play.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you. So when's it coming out?
The game, there's no exact date. It's going to be winter. We're still trying to figure out.
So it's
exactly
after Dimensions.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay, I can't wait to unlock all those minifigs, as my nephew will as well. For more on all the Lego games, stay right here on IGN.
Cheers, nice one.
Thanks. No worries.